Hi, this is MIcornus Phokane, the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. We are doing the final installment of this particular topic. What a great topic that we had. We're speaking about the attributes of dynamic pastors. And we have emphasized that it's very important for pastors to become dynamic because really, it is days and age. The land and the surface is very, very competitive. And therefore, the church work and ministry very competitive as well. We need people that are dynamic. And without being dynamic with knowledge, particularly, you're going to struggle actually in getting members in your church. Going to struggle actually to grow the ministry that God has put upon you. Remember, the more dynamic you are, the more people are able to follow you. The more people decide to become part of what you're doing and support the work that you're doing. And some of you are actually struggling to get people to follow you, people to become members in your church. And sometimes it's purely just because you're not dynamic enough. And we are teaching on this platform so that you learn to become dynamic. And today we want to speak about the attributes again of dynamic pastors. And the first one that I want to address today is dynamic pastors are task orientated. And this is very important because if you don't become task orientated, you're going to struggle actually to grow your ministry or to move it further, to progress. Very important. So you cannot really become a dynamic pastor if you are not task driven. So you need to be task driven. You need to have some tasks that you put up on the to do list, and you continue doing that. Dynamic pastors, they concentrate on the tasks at hand and they refuse to be distracted by the words and actions of many. Remember, there are people that will actually look at your ministry and say, wow, this ministry is going nowhere. Some people will come and say, but your preaching is very shallow. You're not actually preaching well, and so on. People trying to discourage you. But we are saying, as Church Governance Solutions, immediately you become task oriented, you become persistent in what you do. Consistency always bears results. And I've seen people that were not good enough, but people that have grown over the years because of consistently doing that which they are doing. Don't give up because there are many people that are screaming and shouting and kicking and discouraging you. There are people that are looking down upon the work that you're doing. Please don't be discouraged. Because immediately become discouraged by people and give up on what you're supposed to do, you cannot give yourself an opportunity to grow. And the only way you find yourself giving yourself opportunity to grow is when you stick to the guns and do that which you have always been doing, and consistently so, and that will help you. So task orientation literally means ability to do the task despite of what is challenging you, despite of what is actually standing against you. So you continue doing the task, you continue doing the work, and that's very important that you be a dynamic pastor by doing that. You concentrate on the task at hand and you refuse to be distracted at all. Now, dynamic people, they know what to do and they know what to focus on. And that is the reason why they don't actually just run around. A person who's dynamic is that person who will say no when you invite them to something that distracts them. When you interfere with their time, they will tell you that I'm busy. They don't just jump and run. They don't just do things because everybody's doing them, but they do that which is valuable for them. So when we talk about dynamic people, we talk about people that value their own time, that value their own ministries, that value their own callings. You cannot be all over the place, but you need to stick to your guns and do that which God has called you to do. Don't actually envy people whereby you even follow them to do what they are doing and becoming somebody else. Don't imitate people. You have called with a very unique calling yourself. So please stick to it and you'll realize that it will start growing when you stick to it. And that's what we call dynamic person. Task orientated and be focused on the task at hand. The other attribute that is necessary for dynamic pastors is to be values and ethics driven, because it's very important that you have values. It's very important that you have some ethics in your life. And this is what we call about good character. When we talk about good character, I'm talking about people that are very conscious about values and they want to live according to values. They live according to ethics of some sort in their lives. If you were to look at Philippians chapter 4 and you look at verse 5 and verse 8, you'll realize that values are very important. You'll realize that there must be some ethical considerations in everything that you do, because you can only be charactered when you are actually respecting values and ethics. Your character should actually be looked up and admired, because you would be operating differently because of the values that you're keeping. And that's very, very important. So, godly values and good ethics are the two pillars that undergird the life of a dynamic pastor. I want to say this again. Now, it's high values from the Word of God and good ethics from the Word of God. Well, when you start to align yourself with that, you become somebody who's dynamic, somebody who's respectable, and everybody can look up to you and respect you. Now, those ministers that have actually run churches for many years, and those churches have actually been sustained and kept for a very long time, purely is because of the type of values that they're living. They're running their churches based on values, and the values are the values of the Word of God. They're running actually their churches based on the ethics as well. They are actually making sure that they are guarded themselves by ethics and values, and they are highly respected because of that. Now, they value godliness, and therefore, everything that is ungodly, they don't want to do, because that will tarnish their name. Remember that you can build your own reputation over a long time, but that very same reputation can be destroyed within a second because of not valuing godliness, particularly as a minister of the gospel, particularly as a pastor running your own ministry. Very, very important that you become somebody who is actually value orientated and really ethics orientated as well, and you value godliness. Need to value honesty as well. Now, honesty is trustability, where people able to trust you. Are you honest enough? Are you able to be honest with everything that you do? And that's very important. And also, further than that, is the character that you build through all this godliness and values and honesty. That builds a certain character that people look at you and say, that particular individual, we know who they are. Because you would have actually become somebody who's an example to many, somebody that people look up to, somebody that is a role model to many, and that's very important. And we want to emphasize that as a dynamic pastor, you need to be likewise. Now, you need to have a family that is stable. You need to make sure that you protect your family as well by your own character. That's very, very important. So do things that will uphold others as well. And that's being dynamic. Now, we want to also bring about on the table the attribute called resourcefulness. That's an attribute of dynamic pastors, resourcefulness. And from the book of Matthew, chapter 13, if you look at chapter 13, verse 52, we speak about resourcefulness as well here. And that's very important that as a leader, as a pastor, you become resourceful as much as possible. And dynamic pastors are resourceful enough to keep leading better, because when you are not resourceful enough, you cannot lead the people better. Now, you become resourceful, you become able to lead people better. So dynamic churches and dynamic kingdom expansions and they glorify Christ. And they make the expansion much more seamless, and we start to see the church of God growing as well. And that glorifies God. And we want to emphasize that it starts with the leader who is dynamic in nature, the leader who respects actually the values and the ethics, as we have mentioned earlier. But then you become resourceful as well. You are very key to the lives of other people. And that's very, very important. As you do that, you glorify Christ. And the outcomes are actually coming because of the type of life that you lead. As we're closing, dynamic pastors have learned to work with people. And I want to emphasize this because as a pastor, you work with people. As a pastor, you become exemplary to people. As a pastor, people look up to you. So you cannot work in isolation without people, because ministry is about people anyway. So therefore, if you want to become dynamic, learn the skills of how to work with people. Learn the skills of how to deal with people as well, because that's the only way you're going to run your ministry in a dynamic way. So, because dynamic pastors, they have good relational skills, they show good respect to other people, and we're talking about both young and old here. We're talking about both literate and illiterate. So you respect them, you honor them despite of their level of education. So honor the people despite of whether they're young or old. When you start to do that, people start actually feeling welcomed around you, and they want to support you in your ministry, in the work that you do. So dynamic pastors are relational in nature. They've got skills to relate with people, and that helps them actually to run the ministry much more better. Not only to do their work, with people, but they also love to work through people. And this is very important, because working with people is different from working through the people as well. And that is what we call delegation skills as well. Very important that dynamic pastors are able to delegate. So, and I want to urge you as a pastor to start learning to delegate. You cannot be jack of all trades and master of none. You'll die quickly, pastor. So make sure that you delegate some of the work to other people, and that makes you dynamic by so doing. So please remember that. You harness the strength of other people, the abilities, their gifts as well. The graces of people are different. By the way, there are those that are graced better than you in a certain area. So when you harness that and make use of that in the church where you are, that's what we call dynamic pastors. They're able to build, building them into a team, building people into teams that brings peace and progress to the church. That's dynamic pastors. They're able to know who is good in which area, and use people and utilize them basically in the right manner where they are. I want to end up here today, your host, MIcornus Phokane. I'm the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions, and I hope that you remember that we're restoring godly order in the house of the orderly God, and we have done this topic, I hope, justice, and I believe also that you will land out of it and you'll become a better person who is, of course, dynamic wherever you are in your ministry. Before we check out today, remember our Facebook page is Church Governance Solutions, and my personal Facebook page, MIcornus Phokane. So like those pages. Please make sure that you follow us there. And don't forget our TikTok account is MIcornus Phokane as well. So please make sure that you do follow us on the TikTok, and our Instagram as well, MIcornus Phokane. So follow us there. And the good Lord will bless you as you do that. There are many other videos that were posted in these platforms, and God will bless you as you continue actually going through these pages and these platforms. Don't forget our YouTube channel is under Young Men Empowerment Forum. The YouTube channel under Young Men Empowerment Forum. So please subscribe to this YouTube channel. And we want to urge you to share these platforms with your loved ones. And the good Lord will bless you as you do that, because they are sitting and waiting for you to share that with them, because they want to learn as well, like you've learned. Till we meet again with another topic, allow us to check out right here and say cheers for now.